All right, Chelsea fans, welcome back to another episode of the London is Blue podcast. As always, just Brandon goes Nick, no Dan, and it is preseason form time. Some even titled it Nick Maresca's first win. You might as well start counting now. Never too early.
Brandon, is that you? Are you here?
Indeed. The echo from the background is here.
Blessing us with his presence. Yeah, Enzo Maresca gets his first win. And Brandon Busby decides this is the moment to enter the preseason fray after a couple of lackluster results to this point. And we're going to talk about all of it because it was actually a pretty decent watch, especially if you have paid attention to the first two. And I know a lot of our friends were down in Atlanta, and I'm glad that they actually got to see a decent performance. That was nice.
Yeah, I got a surprise text from the brother-in-law. He was there taking it in. So Jake's still waiting on the notes on what happened, but glad. I'm sure you're wearing blue. So, I was thinking about that. I was like, look, a year ago, we were there. We were at Mercedes-Benz Stadium watching Chelsea play Newcastle. And then 2 years ago, we were in Vegas watching Chelsea play Club America. So it's just different formations of the same thing over and over. So different today at the same time.
And not to overhype that stadium, but it is so sick.
Yeah.
It is actually incredible. The food is incredible. Hospitality is incredible. So yeah, no doubt that they want to be playing as many games at Mercedes-Benz as they can, because that place is immaculate.
Yeah, no doubt about that. So, all right. Well, look, as we always want to do, it's preseason. Hedge your bets. Like, pause the season statements. It's not going to happen, right?
Go all in. Be reckless.
Yeah, at your own peril, no doubt. I mean, look, some of these. I forgot who I was talking to, but I was like, it wasn't. Remember last season, Kepa played all the preseason minutes and then went to Real Madrid. I'm just waiting for what twist is it that's going to happen like that. There's always one. So anyways, it's preseason. Take it for what it is. But huge shots are an amazing community out there, right? All the 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, they do help. Free way to support us. YouTube, producer Jake, crushing it over there, right?
Yes,
we've been doing YouTube-specific shows as well. So help us get to 40K on the road on that one. And then if you want a read version of this, right, go check out the Dispatch by Sam CFC Central every single week, dropping more newsletters. And then last but not least, join the best community out there for Chelsea fans on our Discord. Couple bucks gets you in the club. But Nick, let's go ahead and kick it off with a 3-word match review, as we always do.
Yeah, nice to get back to doing these. We didn't do them for the first couple for pretty obvious reasons, but Janique, old friend of the show, day one supporter and musician. So go check out her stuff on Spotify with A Step Forward, poignant, nice. Silva Lining with Christopher Is Him, and there's no doubt about that. Mike Murphy, good friend, with Good Building Block. FPL Reward with We Back. Okay. Nori with Cooking Sessions Underway. CFC Optimist. Peachy Performance That with a nice peach for the state of Georgia. Hemp Hens with Sanchez Has Feet. Sure does. He has 2 of them. E. Bresnay with This Might Work. Fingers crossed. I think that may be reading a smidge into it. Stutz with Found Our Level. Harsh but fair. CFC Central, little known friend of the show, with Kiernan de Bruyne. Okay, pal. The puns are off the chart with this guy. Ridiculous. Logic with Nkunku Golden Boot.
Brandon, fair shout. We should double down.
right in your wheelhouse. Mr. Thurman with Nani Gotta Go. Whoa, harsh. Okay. Tyson with Goal Getter Gucci. And Tom Enwood with Signs of Life. There's an array in there, Brandon.
Look, preseason form, a buffet, right? Mm-hmm. You got hot cuts, you got cold cuts, you got endless soft serve. Whatever you want is in here. Noni out, right? We've got Found Our Level. Sanchez, we back, like Golden Boots. It's all here for you. So just buckle up, enjoy it. There's no stopping the momentum. What about you, Nick? What did you have?
Nkunku's hazard moment. There was a quite tasty dribble between like 3 or 4 players that I think reminded some folks of Eden Hazard doing that to West Ham not that long ago.
Sliced and diced. I put sign more goalkeepers. I mean, why not? Do we have enough? Do you ever have enough? That's the real question. What do we have? 5 in preseason right now?
You're halfway to an 11 right now. So
and like we still have Kep on the books. So we're at 6. Not bad for preseason form. I think I saw on X that someone said we have 42 senior players.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh. So remember when Poch got the squad down to a reasonable level with all the various loans and shenanigans last year?
Blew it back up.
It's way back up. It's crazy. And we haven't seen Palmer yet. We haven't seen Cucurella yet. We haven't seen Gallagher yet. More on Gallagher to come later in the show. But yeah, it's a pretty wild time to be a Chelsea Football Club fan.
Yeah, well, sporting directors getting paid per player, clearly. So it's like a hedge fund portfolio. No, we literally have to spend it. Otherwise, okay. Let's jump into this one a little bit here. In case you missed it, was Club America this past Wednesday, the 31st of July in the preseason. Is there a name for this tournament again?
Nope, just the preseason.
The preseason. Just preseason.
Yeah.
Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, like we said. In case you missed it, Chelsea's 3, Club America 0. Goals from Nkunku in the 3rd minute, Guiu in the 21st. We're not calling it an own goal, no shot. And Madueke in the 79th minute from the spot. Lineup, Nick, if you want to go ahead and run through how we started, because it's definitely not how we ended.
Yeah, as you guys know, lots of subs in preseason, so I'll just do the starting 11, then read off the subs in no particular order, if that's all right with you. Robert Sanchez between the sticks, Reece James, Tosin Adarabioyo, Benoit Badiashile, and Malo Gusto made up the backline. Gusto coming in for a rested Levi Colwill, who had been kind of in the red zone, so they gave him the day off. Smart, like to see the new medical plan in action. Romeo Lavia and Kieran Dewsbury-Hall in midfield, along with Raheem Sterling, Christopher Nkunku, Noni Madueke, and Mark Guiu. This really ends up being kind of a Lavia, Dewsbury-Hall, and Nkunku midfield 3 with Nkunku and Dewsbury-Hall as the 8s. The subs, Jorgensen comes in for the first time as a Chelsea player. Just got there on Monday, so this is pretty quick turn for him in the second half. So we got one half of each goalkeeper. Enzo Fernandez comes in at half. Mikhailo Mudryk, Fofana, Vega, Ugo Chukwu, and Broya all come in the 63rd minute. Benoit Chilwell. You guys have all heard of Benoit Chilwell, I believe. Funny TV error again, but we can have some fun with that. In the 71st minute, Angelo coming in the 83rd minute, along with Tyreek George. Unused subs of Eddie Beach, Bergstrom, Bettinelli, Akeem Pong, and Carney Chukwuemeka.
Yeah, again, 3 goalkeepers. Didn't even feature. Look, some of the stats, we don't have as deep of stats as usual as in season, so we're just going to go high level here. 50-50 possession. We had 4 big chances. I'm assuming 2 of those are penalties, if I had to guess. Total shots 17 to their 10. We had 1 save to their 6. 6 corner kicks, 15 fouls. Yeah, we had 3 cautions to their 1. That's pretty much about it. There's not a whole lot to pull out of that. Obviously, the majority of it is the subs and when they come. Starting to see the 63rd minute was the big break, so getting these players an hour. It'll be interesting to see how the next match shakes out because, is he going to flip it or is he going to start to rely on the same players and build up their fitness? So I think this is probably one match before we're going to get an insight again if Enzo's going to distribute the minutes evenly or double down on the players he is starting to favor. But anyways, we're going to take our first break. When we get back right into the match, hearing from our manager himself, Maresca. Thank you to sponsors. We'll be right back. All right. So about damn time getting that dub under Enzo. Not Fernandez, but Maresca this time. Quite comprehensive. 3 goals, Nick, a clean sheet. Pretty tidy overall. Again, with 50% possession, but we outshot them 17-10. They're having to make 6 saves. in season form, you'd imagine this team is putting up 5-6 goals. So the fact that we locked in the 3, we can feel pretty good about it, I think.
Yeah, I mean, just like overall, compare this to Saturday. This was a much, much, much different type of performance. And understand very clearly that Club America and Celtic are not on the same level. Celtic is a much better team than Club America is. No offense to Club America, just the 2 different levels. Chelsea were much better in this game than they were on Saturday. There can just be no doubt made about it. The passing was much more crisp. The positioning was much, much better. The fact that they inverted the left back instead of the right back, I think, made a world of difference because you basically had Reece, Tosin, and Benoit as your back 3, with Gusto taking a more advanced position next to Lavia. It seemed to really balance out the midfield, and then it pushed Dewsbury Hall, an actual number 8, and Nkunku, a person that can play varying roles across the team, in advanced areas, so the wingers actually had a partner to pass the ball back and forth with. We saw the wingers in previous games get really, really isolated. And so this just was a much better performance. Now, was it perfect? Of course not. There were still times where Club America in the first half in particular had a couple of really dangerous shots that Sanchez made really great saves on because we didn't close down. There's still a lot of positioning errors happening out of the, kind of playing it out of the back and stuff like that. But I will say, Brandon, like, having done match reviews for all 3 of these now, like, this was, you came back at the right time. This was a much, much better view because what I saw on Saturday kind of worried me. This gave me a glimpse as to what they're trying to do.
For sure. Look, Maresca he's a stylistic manager. He's not pragmatic. We knew that, right? And Ben Jacobs came on, I think, towards the end of, or probably the beginning of the summer when we're starting to be linked with him because he's a Leicester City fan. And we've just tripled down on having him on because he's also stateside and covering it. Mm-hmm. But Ben Jacobs talked about how, like, it wasn't all like sunshine and rainbows as they won the championship last season. And so, again, with Maresca, I think the Dewsbury Hall signing is going to be so important for him because that's his guy. That's his system guy. This is his Jorginho to Maurizio Sarri. A lot of it's going to go on his shoulders to play a certain way and coach everyone around him and try to be like, yeah, he's his cheerleader, right? He's going to be like, no, this works. This is great. Buy in. Trust me, I did it. But if it doesn't, it's like, does he have a plan B? And obviously in preseason, he's trying to establish his system, so he's going to stick with it. But I go back to even Graham Potter and stuff like that. Nick is like, and Maurizio Sarri, we've seen it. If it works, great. Antonio Conte. But if it doesn't, what do you do? Like, do we have a plan B and another option? So I always get worried when we have these kind of stylistic managers that come in because they're going to be really rigid because it's such a different way than most players are used to. They have to stick to it and be really strong about it. But if it doesn't click, then it's gonna be a problem. So it's good to see early progress. After all that, I'm saying it's a good thing we're seeing it and the players are clicking a little bit better. There's obvious weaknesses within it that the team are going to have to continue to start to be aware of and predict so we can react a little bit better. But throughout the match, I think overall we got a little bit of update that there were no injuries. Malo Gusto and Benoit Nkunku just cramped, so preventative. Jackson and Caicedo close, but they're still doing work apart from the team. And Nkunku, he just had high praises for him. Duh. What a man amongst boys at times, the way he is, just riding challenges and stuff, which I think is great.
He did just go on and say he's very happy. For us, the results are always important because we're Chelsea. The main thing is to analyze performance. In my personal view, from Wrexham, Celtic, and today, we have continued to improve. So I think he's like just putting a marker down that like he's a part of this and he's trying to figure out how to make this thing work. And he has to be happy that they finally started to look the part just a wee bit.
Yeah. All right. So again, we were talking about Nkunku. When we look at some of the players today, like that's where we need to start. This is the Nkunku of last preseason. But we need to keep him for the season. But anyways, bright, super dynamic on the right and left, playing a number 8. He's very quick to get involved, Nick. No matter where it is, he is attracted to the ball so he can be the center of our transition from defense to offense.
Yeah, I mean, where he went, the ball followed. You know, the first half, he was on the right. The ball was channeled through the right the entire first half. When he switched to the left, it was over to the left. The runs were incredible. Technique on the ball was incredible. I think he is the penalty taker now in this preseason anyway. Palmer gets back. Obviously, I think that changes, but nice to know that we have a few options between Palmer, Nkunku, and Madueke. And, 3 goals, 3 games. Confidence builder. 2 of them are penalties, of course, but that's okay. Just want to keep that rolling. He got whacked on the ankle really hard in midfield, and I could feel the gasp of Chelsea's collective fandom, I should say. And he did okay, walked it off, and he got most of a game in here. I mean, you're looking at his heat map, Brandon. It's bright red, right where he should be, right, as an advanced state on either side. And I think positionally, that just shows that this game went a lot more smoothly than the previous 2 did.
Look, he looks good. We saw him right at the end of last season. 3 goals in 3 games right now. We saw him get raked on the back of his leg, and you're like, come on. Like, that's not the tackle we want in preseason. You talked about the Eden Hazard, slice and dice move as well, drew the penalty. This is the guy, right? For Chelsea, he is the guy. And again, it's such a painful reminder of what we missed last season. So stay healthy. Even if you have to pull him out at the end of the season's great. Maybe don't play him in Chicago. Just saying, there just might be a trend there. Kieran Dewsbury-Hall, I kind of talked about him a little bit, right? I guess I'll just let you kind of assess on what you saw from the eye test on him. Again, like I just pinned so much on him in terms of Maresca, and he actually touched on it post-match. So I'll wait to bring the quotes in.
Yeah, I mean, I think for his first 45 minutes, I should say, he looks bright. He definitely got advanced. It was interesting to watch him and Sterling try and figure each other out a little bit, because I don't think that was always like the most cohesive duo necessarily. Sterling was dropping really deep for the ball and kind of occupying space that maybe he should have been occupying, and vice versa. He did have a couple of chances to score goals. He obviously gets the assist to Guiu for the goal. And yeah, they originally said that was an own goal, but Guiu's shot was on target. So that's definitely an assist for Dewsbury-Hall. And look, he doesn't look fit. I mean, I think that's a fair enough point. He's had this injury at the end of last season, had some surgery, is now back and kind of working his way back to fitness. But he played as an 8. And I think the important part of what he did today, especially if you look at his heat map, is he occupied the exact sorts of areas that you want that 8 to occupy. In previous games where we didn't have that sort of presence, we didn't see that. And the team got really smushed because there wasn't someone kind of pushing ahead. He was doing that. A couple balls come in that are maybe just a little bit more settled, and he puts those in the back of the net. But, I think he overall had a really good game. And, I think this is a moment for him to potentially, without Caicedo fully back, not knowing what Gallagher's future is going to hold, maybe cement a place here at Chelsea.
So the quote after the match from Enzo was, quote, "You can see in this moment that he is speaking a different language to his teammates because he knows exactly what to do on and off the ball. I asked him to talk to his teammates to help them," end quote. I actually hadn't read that before I said what I said. When he says he's speaking a different language, Nick, it's not literally. It's not French. It's not Italian. It's tactically he's speaking a different language. So much is going to run through Dewsbury-Hall this season, right or wrong. There's going to be a lot of extra responsibility on him. I think he's going to get a lot of minutes early because of all the things I laid out. it'll be really interesting to see how he does. Like, he's obviously played in the Premier League before. He's English, knows the league, knows all these things. But again, it's going to be, how does he talk to two South Americans? Mm-hmm. How does he talk to a Belgian? How does he talk to, potentially, hopefully Connor and things like that in order to coalesce all these pieces? And that's before he even turns around and talks to the back line, whether it's Malagusto, Badiashile, again, all these other different flavors that we might be choosing from. And so I think, right or wrong, a lot is going to ride on his shoulders this season. So Maresca's already talking about it, and he's going to be, I would say, like an informal captain, at a minimum, an established teacher's pet.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's that'll be a fair enough point. I don't know if he'll play as much as like Jorginho did under Maurizio Sarri or whatever, but you can see why it's important. And hopefully, as the team acclimates and like gets used to this and starts playing the system much better than they are today, like this becomes less and less of a crutch to have to lean on. But for now, as it builds, it looked pretty good.
So you see, he's more like a Charlie Conway from Mighty Ducks, where like he's a player coach.
Excellent. Yeah. Well stated.
Gotcha. Okay. Sanchez versus Jorgensen. So asked me to put a little bit here into this. We did the YouTube video. So if you need more of a breakdown on Jorgensen and kind of my thoughts, it is out there. Okay. I thought Sanchez looked good. Here's the deal. He has the confidence and the swagger that he's the number one. He looks, I would say, similar to what we saw last season, but it's just different. When like you're told you're the number one and you don't have those worries about fighting for your place, he is playing with the willingness to take risks. He's playing with the willingness to do things because he is established. He's playing within a comfort zone. I think that's good for him, right? Especially because whoever's our number one, we need them to play with confidence if we're going to take risks out of the back. He had a good save, looked confident in possession. One I remember he received under pressure. It came back to him, and he knew right away. It was a nice little chip pass out to Reese, who eloquently took it off his chest and then laid it onto the turf gently. Well done. So I think those are the positives of Sanchez in the short amount of time we had. Obviously, they hit the crossbar, not really on him. That was about to be a brilliant take. On Jorgensen's side, he looks like he's fresh off the plane, right? So no serious judgment here. I did love the aggressive sweeper keeper kind of body tackle at 40 yards out. Like, way to get involved. Honestly, they said, when I was doing the analysis, I've read that he is fearless. I would say that's a pretty good sign. He knew it was a gamble, but he's going to go for it. He's clearly trying to play high possession in tight spaces, but he's not sharp yet. We saw him on his left foot kind of just put one straight up the pitch into the midfield that wasn't going to do anything. Also, he's got a decent frame, but like nothing like overly exciting. He's shorter than Sanchez, but let's see if he can play bigger than himself. And those are the last two things. The big unknown is he's supposed to be an elite shot stopper. Didn't make a save today, so we're still waiting to see that. And then on the opposite side, his biggest weakness seems to be dealing with crosses and aerial challenges. Also didn't see it. So those are still the two big things I'm waiting to see. But overall, I think Sanchez looks like he's in midseason form, and Jorgensen looked fresh off the plane.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how they split time moving forward. There's only 3 preseason matches left, right? So we have City on Saturday, we have Real Madrid next Tuesday, and then Inter comes to the Bridge on the 11th. So 3 preseason games left to see what the hell is going to happen in this position.
Yeah. What about Malagusto? Playing left back, right? Taking one for the team. I'm losing words all of a sudden. Being flexible, being a team player.
Absolutely. I think, unlike when he was freelancing on the right in the previous 2 games and playing that sort of inverted role, looked much more comfortable on the left for some reason. Looked very comfortable next to Lavia. Looked very comfortable receiving passes and going into the right areas. Did not overcommit forward this time, which was a nice addition to see based on where he was previously. And look, I think the passing is still dynamic. I mean, he played a couple of through balls to Sterling early that were really great. And this is a player who can feature in so many different roles. He could play right wing if you asked him to. He can play right back or left back. He can do this inverted thing. He can bomb down the wing and do the overlap thing that we've seen so many times. I really, really, really enjoyed this performance. He obviously gets this knock. I think it made everyone pause a little bit, just cramps. So hopefully we're all just, building up fitness for the start of the season. But you got to figure out a way, Brandon, to use him this year, even if Reece James is going to be healthy for 100% of the season. Little tweaks like this, right? Or coming in at the 60th minute to spare Reese's legs, or even coming in as an attacker, is just get him on the field. He makes shit happen.
And we saw Reese pushing the midfield earlier too, right? So I think Enzo's looking at that. What a great place to be, to have, again, a backup pushing so hard and making him indispensable, which is great. Getting to see more minutes from Romeo Lavia, but I'd say a bit of a mixed bag for him. Yeah, he's still finding his feet, still getting back up to that competitive level he was pre-injury. I mean, we got to remember he missed a season. For all intents and purposes, it's been a while. So I'm also, kind of very much holding judgment for him, because it's hard to go from a year out to a top level. I remember when in college I broke my leg, and in high school that I was trying to play college, and you make that jump to where you're playing with, way better players. I almost quit my freshman year because I was so bad. I was so awful where I used to be. Lavia, again, going from Southampton to Chelsea, just got a sniff, then missed an entire season. It is another jump for him for a young player. So, like I said, I think some tackles a little bit mistimed. Decision making could be cleaned up, but it wasn't.
Wins the penalty.
All bad.
Wins the first penalty. So,
exactly.
That's not nothing.
That's what I'm saying, right? But it's not all bad. So.
No, I think there are a lot of people online who are really complimentary of his play. I think he was better here than any of the previous two games. So we'll just have to see him continue to grow. I do think that still you kind of replace him with Caicedo in this team, and it's going to be a much different look and feel, because Caicedo is just a better player. And that's not anything against Lavia. So, I think I'd give him like a 8 out of 10 for today, and just see how he continues to progress.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's see. Enzo Fernandez joining up with the squad. Playing as the right side at 8 instead of the left. We saw him hang out on that left side a lot and look to play those opposite diagonals and things like that last season. This time he's on the right side a little bit. Looked ready to get involved. He kind of has that natural leadership place within this team, Nick, that I thought he embodied pretty well, and had some good through balls on the day.
Yeah, I think we'll talk about his situation at the end, but I think it was a surprise to see him this early. But good to get 45 minutes. We had a couple of friends of the pod talk about him on the right and his abilities on the right versus on the left in terms of his range of passing. And I think I understand what they meant here. Playing as a left-sided 8, I don't know if he has that sort of dynamic range, whereas I think on the right he can play everything. And so maybe that's the thinking, is he ends up kind of slotted in on the right, maybe can play in Cole Palmer a little bit more easily if he's on the right wing, or something like that. So very interested to see kind of how he's used here. The pressing overall within this team is still not great, and that will obviously need to change, because that's like a benchmark of this system. But he did try pressing when he first came in, and then it just kind of slowly dropped off. And so I think not anything on him. He's not fit yet, and the whole team isn't pressing either. So I think let's just kind of all take that with a grain of salt.
Yeah, for sure. Again, joined up with the team and immediately on. He had the surgery postseason. There must have been enough time around that. Obviously, he went to Copa America.
During the season. He had to the end of the season.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, so right at the end of the season. So he had a little bit of time after the season, because he went to Copa but didn't play right away. So there must have been the appropriate time to recover, because
building back up. Yeah,
played many minutes there and here. So I hope he can get going right away, because a not fit Enzo is it has its deficiencies. It really does. All right, and then Nodio Kukimataweke. A little bit naive defensively on some things, but when he pushes so dynamically in attack, Nick. When he gets the space, when he gets the confidence, when you especially compare him to Raheem, and like it feels like Raheem ends up dribbling into players too much. He got a little bit lucky times. Like Noni is an absolute artist and an elite one-on-one attacker. Even the commentators in ESPN were talking about how that defender for Club America was absolutely getting cooked. Christian Calderon, and wanted nothing to do with Noni.
Yeah, I wanted to see him settle his mind in this game, and I think we started to see the beginnings of that. Now, he obviously gets the penalty at the end, which was a nice gift from Christopher Nkunku to give him. He did a lot of hard work in this game and really did start to make some things count in the final third. It still wasn't, I'm sure, for him good enough to not finish a couple of chances or to play the right last ball to Keenan Dewsbury Hall or Raheem Sterling. There were a couple of moments there that could have been better. Overall, it was an improvement. I would give it like a 7.5 out of 10. But I want to see him these last few matches before Palmer's back really, really push. And not push as in be manic or try too hard, but push that little bit of extra quality at the end and settle his mind. He was much better positionally in this game for me. And I think Nkunku obviously helped that because Nkunku takes players away from you because he's so dynamic. But I want to see him start to really settle in a little bit and just do the things that we know he's capable of doing. If he gets the ball on his left in any sort of space around the goal, I believe that should be a goal. Like his left foot is that good. His right foot is not very good. And so he does need to work on this stuff. But I thought he had an overall really good performance. Just needs to tweak a couple of small things. It's preseason. He can definitely do it. But we've seen him work magic before. Not quite there yet.
All right. Well, overall, we got the poll out to the people. Said, hey, who's your day of the match on this one? Look, Nkunku running away with it 57%. Lavia second. Again, I guess I thought it'd be a little bit more controversial, but apparently the people appreciate one Lavia with 33%. Gusto in third with 7%, and Noni bringing up the rear with 3%. Any surprises for you?
Yeah, I think I'm higher. I was myself and the broader internet were higher on Lavia than you were. Again, this was not a Club America team that is very good, so I want to see him put in a shift like that against City or Madrid or Inter. Like I want to see him take that step up. But yeah, I thought he played really well. He had a couple of through balls that were absolute dimes. So yep.
Yeah, no, all good. All right, let's take our last ad break. When we get back, we got everything else, right? Enzo Fernandez back with the team. I wonder how that was. So thank you to the sponsors, and we'll be right back. All right, Nick, we touched on it a little bit earlier, but Enzo Fernandez is back with the squad after his very unfortunate, regrettable moment after winning Copa America with the Argentinian national team. Obviously, I think it's been well covered at this point. I've been around these situations, in the locker room. We have some opinions on how the club have or haven't handled things like this, but at the end of the day, can he resolve those relationships with his teammates? Are they going to be willing to trust him and go to battle with him moving forward? I think that was the biggest question, because these are the people he's supposed to be close with, and he hurt that relationship.
Yeah. The last couple of days, obviously, the club have come out and stated that, he has made numerous apologies, that he's going to donate money to a anti-racism charity, and the club are going to match it. The biggest question for me, because I didn't love the way that it was announced, and I haven't loved the way that it's been communicated or anything thereof with the club on their side. But the biggest question for me was the teammates, because it's not just about what Enzo does. It's about them. It's about the fact that he hurt them. And from all accounts, everyone is moving on. Wesley Fofana, who absolutely did not have to do this, but I think gave a really good set of quotes here to The Athletic, and really showed some leadership when he was not required to, and certainly didn't, probably need to, but he did come out with these quotes and said, "You see, Enzo is back, and I'm happy. We talked together. I explained why I didn't like the video. He explained. He said he's sorry, and he didn't want to hurt French fans or anyone. He did not understand when singing it, and I trust him because I know him. I know Enzo. He is not racist. It is just the video is bad. It's not only Enzo; it's the Argentinian team. Enzo is in the video, but if he was from another country, I would have posted the same thing." For sure, it was a big story because we play in the same team. But now it's done. It's good. I'm happy with the situation because he understands me. And I understand him. I trust him. And the most important thing, and that is the most important thing, Enzo is a big player, Argentina. I hope this has educated him a bit because for sure it's a different culture. Fofana continued by insisting that he's keen to move away from the controversy, finishing up by saying, if I'm on one side and Enzo's on the other side and we fight every day or we don't talk, we're not happy on the pitch, then we don't play well. That's not only me and Enzo, it's all the team. It's for that we talked. It's a good club. So it seems as if these fences have been mended, which is a good thing. And I just like a huge amount of credit to Wesley Fofana here and to everyone, Reece James, Levi Colwell, Lavia, the whole club that have really rallied around this because it could have been really, really ugly. And, again, Wes, as the player who was hurt, does not need to do this. He extended a massive olive branch by doing this, and I think it was a really great thing for him to do.
100%. Again, like the players are the ones dealing with this and making the answers, being put on the spot. How they have handled it is so impressive. Like, this sucks. I'm sure they wish they didn't have to, but I think they showed a level of honesty and kind of a maturity with it as well. I would also trust that they have handled it behind closed doors and moved on. The biggest hope is that Enzo was open to hearing the feedback and understands. I'm not going to say he didn't understand the song order, but understands like the ramifications and like how this comes across to people who he really cares about, is close with. So, Wes giving us the inside scoop there. That's probably what happened, which is good. So, moving on to Conor Gallagher. All right, Nick, a lot is continuing to be briefed. You stay on top of it with the Loster and now Ben Jacobs and David Ornstein getting in on the act now.
Yeah, well, I mean, I picked Ornstein, but the club clearly briefed every journalist today because they all came out with basically the same statement at the same time. I think everyone understands how this is happening now, and I think there are a lot of people who are like rightfully skeptical of what happened. The reporting is that Conor Gallagher, or I should say the brief from the club is Conor Gallagher rejects Chelsea's offer of a new 3-year deal for the second time. Wage proposal in line with highest earners in the Chelsea midfield. Club has an agreement in place with Atletico Madrid for only 40 million euros. They're awaiting the 24-year-old's decision. Reminder, Conor doesn't have to do shit here. He can just show up and start working again because he has a contract. The thing that I put out, Brandon, I want to get your thoughts here. This briefing is funny, bad, and sad for a lot of reasons. One, the club are actively shopping Conor Gallagher. There was a previous agreement in place with Villa for £45 million, much more than the 40 million euros that is being discussed with Atletico Madrid in the summer. They've been trying to sell him for 2 years now. Two, Conor has said that he doesn't want to leave. And he's made that point very, very clear. He stayed all last year. And if he wants to, he'll stay all this year. Doesn't matter. Three, the new deal would give the club increased leverage to sell him for a greater fee, right? Like that's the way these things work. A bumper deal might get you temporarily more on the wage bill or from your wages, but it's with the intent to sell because that's what they want to do. And then what I don't like about this the most of all of this stuff that I've just mentioned is that awaiting the 24-year-old's decision as if he is the blocker in this remotely. The club could have signed him up at any point along the way. Offer him crazy wages, do whatever. Like, this is clearly a club problem that they are trying to solve through the media, and I do not like it whatsoever.
Yeah, so to your point, he's got a contract to next summer, right? June 30th, 2025. What is wild, he's our oldest midfielder at 24.
Well, no, Dewsbury Hall is now.
Well, okay, yeah. But like, as I look at the capology table here, it's feels Mason Mount-esque, right? Remember those briefings? He rejected this and that. It's kind of going down the same path, unfortunately. So they said in there that they offered him top wages in line with the highest earners in the midfield. So again, I'm on Capology. They say that Enzo, Caicedo, and Carney are the top wage earners, and they are verified. So Enzo is on just over 12 million USD per year. Caicedo is on 10 million a year, just over. And Carney Chukwuemeka is at 6.7 million. Care to guess where Connor's at right now, Nick?
2 million.
3.3.
Close. Okay.
He's half of Carney Chukwuemeka. So at that point, you have to be pushing him north of 175, 180 to have him be close to Caicedo, and he'll still be 50K off a week from Enzo.
Well, and he's an England international. He had a bunch of goal contributions and was captain last year. Like, all of these things matter. Carnes played 2 games.
Yep. So the big deal is that there's only 3.3 million because that's his annual left, right, on the books. So everything they bring in, right, is going to be pure profit minus 3.3 million. And so that's the upside on this, unfortunately. Like, if they are looking at the business side of like, how can we raise $37 million? Connor's the easiest solve. They can't sell the hotel again. Like, Cobham wouldn't bring this. There's no financial trick to that. Unfortunately, between him and Trevo, now I'm starting to think of like, this is the quickest way to raise 50 million because they can't sell sponsorships. Like, am I a conspiracy theorist, Nick, to think that our lack of commercial success is forcing us to sell some of our better players? Or do they not value him similar to how they didn't value Mason? And I'm not saying it wasn't the right call at the time. His head might have been turned and he might have been over it. But I'm starting to feel like there's no way around this.
I mean, these two things are not mutually exclusive. The club should be doing much better commercially. We all know that. They have a great brand and they have all these salespeople and they have all these commercial directors. There's no reason to do that, to be doing this poorly. That is impacting everything. The more revenue you bring in writ large, the better off you are, right? The less that, every individual player that you bring in impacts the overall books. And so, like a new stadium would help, right? Get more butts in seats, all of these different levers that we can pull, not Barcelona levers, which are fake, but real levers. It all does make up. But like, if you really think about this, if Chelsea are really willing to sell Conor Gallagher for 33 million pounds, that is like 20 million pounds under the value of him in the open market. He's at least a 50 million pound player. At least. Mason was that. And I think he's probably just as good, if not slightly better than Mason now. Like, this is crazy to me. Trev, we're signing a kid from Argentina who barely played last season, Anselmino, for like 5 million pounds less than what we're trying to get rid of Trev for. That makes no fucking sense. Like, cool. If you want to sell these guys, at least go get value for them. Like, what is happening here? I don't understand these valuations. I don't understand what they're trying to do. The whole thing's a mess. They still have to sell Lukaku, which is proving to be incredibly difficult. But it's just doing my head in because we've been here for the last 2 years in the same exact situation.
Yeah, for sure. And if, again, you kind of look through the wages, you're probably going to feel a little bit gross at where Connor's at. It's, about 65,000 US a week. Even like a Benoit's at 116. I already said Carnes is 129. Guiu is 129. Colwell 129. Malang Sarr was at 155 before he left. Like
what?
It just kind of hurts. Cucurella's at 226. Like, again, I'm not saying that he's not worth it. I'm just saying there's a lack of parity when Connor was your de facto captain last season. So, anyways, I'm going to get all riled up. We don't want that, Nick. Let's continue to hit some of the other rumors. The big one is Ornstein and Jacobs also talking about this Lukaku Osimhen deal. And I don't know in what world. I know that Napoli want to take Lukaku as a replacement for Victor Osimhen. In what world he comes to us, I don't know.
Well, it's what's interesting is Ben Jacobs and I talked about this on Tuesday's pod, that there may be a creative solution, i.e., a loan swap before you commit to buy. Right? It saves everyone on the books, makes it a little bit more palatable, probably brings down the overall fee because you're having a good whatever. There's a lot of different ways you can do this. Of course, Osimhen's agent, who's looking to maximize his own personal wealth from this deal, comes out and says it is impossible. There's no way that Osimhen will go for a loan. He's a top striker, blah, 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 blah. Wait until August 29th is what I say. The window closes on August 30th. No one's moving here until a piece comes the other way, it feels like. And that's because Napoli can't afford it. And we're not going to let Lukaku go for anything less than 37 million pounds. Like, that's been pretty well briefed out in the public as well. There is a thing today that was added that Cassidy may be a make weight in the overall bargaining of this, whatever happens here. But, again, if the number from Napoli does come down to what, so many have reported, including Ben, it comes down to that 80 million pound range, you can start to shape something that isn't so prohibitive for Chelsea. But that would be a huge drop from Napoli's valuation, at least 40, 50 million pounds from their current valuation. So I don't see that happening either. I think this is just like gonna be here for the next month, and we will just continue to go, nope, nothing happened. And if honestly, if a loan swap does happen, it would be just hilarious.
Again, there's so much money involved in Lukaku. He still has almost 44 million left on his contract, 421,000 a week, 22 million a year, huge numbers. And guess what? Osimhen would be even more. So, we bet big on Lukaku as the striker years ago, and it failed so bad. And now we're still bleeding cash and struggling out of it. I wonder if the club is going to be gun shy. But it doesn't really feel like it. I would have to say it would be impressive, but I think just with the Conference League and all these things, but if the other big clubs aren't in the market like they normally are, you even got Julian Alvarez leaving. I think a lot of people will be way more willing to bet on Julian than potentially go for the Osimhen. Way, way less money involved and proven in the Premier League. It'll be interesting.
And PSG, they want Osimhen to replace Mbappe, a different type of player, obviously, but the odds of this are not good.
All right. Some of the transfer roundups from around up there saying a Norwegian 19-year-old left back, Patrick Dorgu, is a potential outstanding talent. Chelsea are looking at him, interested. I mean, Nick, without three left backs, I do feel a little thin.
Yeah, well, I mean, you saw Vega play a little left back today.
Handball, caution.
Yeah, just getting started in the right way. That's what I like to see from the young man. But this does come on the back of signing Caleb Wiley, who will be loaned out, but we did sign him as a Chelsea player. And the fact that Maresca had some very delicate quotes about Ben Chilwell and his fit in this system. Chilwell comes on because Gusto gets hurt today, but we haven't seen much of him in preseason. Probably looking, the Athletics reporting that Chelsea will consider selling him for the right price because of just the suitability to his play, which is fair enough. I mean, I think we all kind of said that in Keep Sell Loan at the end of the season, that he's just not a phenomenal fit for what Maresca wants to do. You don't get the best out of him. He's more of a wing back. He likes to get up and down and impact play up the field. This is not what he would love to do. And so it does feel like a square peg in a round hole. And that is a shame because a healthy Ben Chilwell is a really, really, really good fucking player.
I don't think we'll ever forget what he did in the Champions League final on that side where he put everything he had on the line to defend Man City in that second half right in front of us. And it was super impressive. Look, Ben Chilwell was a goal threat. We all know it, right? He can absolutely defend in the wide spaces, but he pushes you like a Dani Alves where you have to go, chase him and hunt him down. And that's just not something that I think we've really had a lot. So, something to ponder on how it goes, but I hope it's at least amicable for him because he's been so good and fought so many injuries. It's just so unfortunate. And then apparently a 21-year-old striker out of Hoffenheim, Maximilian Bayer, were being reported that us and Villa are looking at him because he only has a 30 million euro release clause. What do you think here? What are your thoughts? I'm trying to pull up his radar. I don't even see anything from last season.
I mean, I think it's one of those where it's just like we're in this situation where because we clearly want Osimhen but are not going to pay that fee for him, that like we're in a spot where we're kind of then just looking at like what our second, third, fourth options are. He did have 16 goals and 1 assist in the Bundesliga last year off of 11.4 XG. So like it's a pretty decent return. Kind of puts him in the here's a good comparison for you. Bowen, Lacazette, David Datro Fofana, Marcus Thuram, Belotti, Eddie Nketiah. So this is like not a like bona fide number one striker, but it could be decent backup. And like, honestly, I'm okay with that. Like if you want to bring in a low risk sort of option there to back up who, our incumbent, which is Nicholas Jackson, I think we're all very fond of, fine with me. But, again, I want to make sure that this is the right sort of like finisher. And he has a decent little radar here. It's not too terrible.
Yeah, for sure. He's 6 foot, 157 pounds. So he's like, he's tallish and skinny, right? So he's going to create some advantages airily. I think he's something different. But again, not having watched the Bundesliga to know like how fluid his passing and involvement is, maybe as a target man. Look, our gold standards is Olivier Giroud, right? It's going to be really hard to match what he was able to do in that position. So we'll see. But again, this is at least the club at a minimum briefing like, hey, we're not all in on Osimhen. We've got some options. Obviously, Alvarez is being shot pretty heavily between Arsenal and Chelsea as well, looking at that. So we'll have to see how it shakes out. But 46 players are bust.
Yeah, I think we just get up to 50 and then just have a Royal Rumble to see who leaves Chelsea.
And that's without a loan army, right? Like before we'd have like 60, but they were all on loan. Yeah. Not anymore.
Yeah, it can't. The rules have changed. So yeah. Anyway, little transfer roundup. These things change all the time. So if you're listening to this on Thursday and something has happened, we recorded this Wednesday night, sue us.
Classic. Please don't. So anyways, that's going to wrap us up though. Hope you're enjoying preseason. I hope many of you are getting out to see the matches. I know it's preseason. It is still a special opportunity to go out and see the players in person. It is a very cool thing. So if you are, shoot us a photo. Let's see the selfie of you at the stadium. I know I've gotten to see good friend of the pod, Patrick, out there getting the time in Atlanta, as you would always assume. So Patrick Larson, shout out to you, sir.
Michael and Lexi were there today. So.
Classic.
Yep.
Oh man, bummed that we're missing it, but hey, the live streams are rocking, so we're going to keep on supporting from afar. But anyways, that's going to wrap us up. Tune in the rest of the week. More content. Check out YouTube, as you said. Discord for the best community out there. But until next time, Chelsea fans, you know what to do. Keep the blue flag flying high.